was it actually, though, to get back to work and to be next to Kobe Bryant and his feelings towards you, how he approached you, what lessons have you learned from him?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that we have enough time to be able to talk about the impact that Kobe had on me and also a generation of basketball player. But what I can tell you is, I remember vividly. I think it was February 7th or February 8th, 2006. It was my first game against the Houston Rockets. And I remember feeling like I was too slow, everything was moving too fast. But what I remember the most is after the game, where everybody jumped on me in the locker room. They threw Gatorade at me, they threw powder. They was just so excited, and they were telling me like, welcome to the NBA, now you're officially an NBA player. So I remember the excitement from my teammates, from my peers, from myself, having seen me 6 months ago, prior to that, having to go through open heart surgery. But yeah, I remember just being so happy, so grateful, and feeling like, okay, all of the efforts that I made were all worth it to experience that, even though it was only like 52 seconds.
What are your fondest memories of Kobe?
Okay, you really want to go there. Okay. My fondest memories of Kobe would be the time when it was away from the basketball court and we got to share moments, just enjoying food and dinners and having meaningful, deep conversation about life and also what we're trying to do on the basketball court. So yeah, those are my fondest memories.
Let's go to the NBA lockout. Nowadays, it's almost like an urban legend to the younger generation of people. How did you experience the lockout back then? And were you involved in any negotiations? Do you think that ultimately changed something about the players professionally?
That's a great question. The 2011 lockout, it was very interesting because I was not involved in the negotiation, but I was fortunate that I played with a guy named Roger Mason, who at the time was part in the negotiation. And Roger was doing a great job informing me about what was happening and what was going on behind the scene. And I was in Bora Bora, Tahiti at the time during the negotiation, just taking some rest. And I ended up playing for 3 weeks with Tony Parker in Asvel, who has the potential #1 draft pick, by the way,
yes,
on the team. But so I played with Tony for 3.5 weeks. But I think what I remember the most about the lockout is what happened afterwards. I feel like it was a turning point into the understanding about how do we want, as basketball players, wants to be seen, wants to be involved in the game of basketball, understanding how that works. And I think that the NBA lockout came to the conclusion, and I think if there is one thing, key takeaway that I feel grateful for, is the fact that because of that, now retired NBA players and guys that retired maybe like 20, 30 years ago have life insurance now, which was something that was not implemented before the lockout. So I feel like after that, everybody got on the same page and just trying to find the greater cause. And I think it was a very positive thing for the business of basketball. Top 5 French players right now. Starting point guard, I will do Tony Parker. 2 guards, I will say Michael Pietrus. I'm being a general manager right now. The starting small forwards, I will put Nicolas Batum. At the 4, I will put Boris Diaw. And at the 5, I will put Rudy Gobert and Joakim Noah at the same time.
Interesting selections for sure. And I remember you mentioned that also in the Q&A before, that Tony Parker and Boris Diaw actually helped you get accustomed to the French way of playing and the French NT. What is something that you remember fondly from the French national team?
My most fun memories about the national team, it's very hard to pick one to think about the national team, but I think the 2000 when we won the championship U18 was an amazing one. But I could also talk about the fun memories that I've had every summer. I mean, I dedicated my summers for 10 plus years for the national team, and it was an amazing experience. It's one of those things that when you hear the national anthem, when you just go and you go and play against other countries, and it's very fun. And for example, I was just walking the street of Athens earlier today, and I met someone that I played against when I was 15, and I was just telling them that just having the fun memories of playing against Zizis and Spanoulis, because those guys are the same year, born the same year as I was. So it's not just for yourself, it's also all the other guys that you meet at a young age and that you grow with and you become a fan of them.
Yeah, I see. There is an ongoing thing about creating a community, creating connections. With that being said, what about the French basketball community? Now we've seen Monaco rising to the EuroLeague playoffs. Recently, Paris Basketball made the EuroCup for the first time ever. There's some growth in French basketball.
Yeah, and also let's not forget about Nanterre, also a couple of years back, that had great success in European basketball. What I think is super interesting is I feel like France is at another crossroad of growth, popularity, development of sports business in the world. You see that what the federation and the league has done has been tremendously successful. They have been trying to put the practices together where you have professional guys in Europe, overseas, in the NBA, so at different levels of success, with Nando De Colo being super successful for Fenerbahce or whatever it may be. I feel like the growth of France and French basketball is only going to get better because of the fact that now the generation that used to be players are going to be key stakeholders into the world of basketball. Whereas as an investor like Tony with the academy and everything he's doing, or Boris Diaw that is involved with the national team, and there is not also those two guys, but there's also Nicolas Batum that is invested with Tony. Jan Mahimi invested in the North. Nando is invested as well. So you see that there is an eagerness for us to give back and share our experiences that we've had all over the world. So I think French basketball is poised for another long, successful run of basketball players.
Bien sûr. Even though your career ended practically early, you have fulfilled many goals and many aspirations of yours. Would you say that winning an NBA title, was it something you've dreamed about once you decided that, yes, I will become a basketball player? Because we've heard before that you weren't into basketball at first.
Yeah, for sure. Not really. I did not really dream about becoming an NBA champion. So everything that happened into my basketball career was a bonus. I almost did not really make it. So my perspective maybe has shifted a little bit, where I went from not being able to play to all of a sudden having the chance to play again, to losing an NBA final, and then having the chance again to win an NBA final, so it's one of those things. But like so many times you hear this saying, people talking to you about the journey, and it's important, the journey is not the goal. But when I think about it, it's like, yes, I won an NBA championship, yes, I'm so thankful, so amazing, but to me, the most fun part, it was the most difficult, which was the 60 days that it took to get there. And I remember those days like it was yesterday. So I think besides raising the trophy, it's really what it took for us to get there, and the moments and the emotion that we had to go through to get to the goal.
The effort and the journey, as you said. You are involved, besides basketball, you are involved in many other endeavors, let's say. Any goals, short-term goals in mind that have to do with basketball and business, maybe?
Well, I would say I love to continue being a junior NBA ambassador in Europe and Africa. I love that. But basketball is an expression of part of my personality. I think the short-term goal that I have right now is I'm going back to school in October in Paris to do a specialized master's in cultural engineering. So I'm just fascinating about how to cultivate and create space, like I was sharing with the kids, create space for people to come and have an experience. So I'm just using the fact that people know me as a basketball player to talk about a real issue. Like, for example, because I was a basketball player and I'm involved in art, I was able to work with an organization called PARM, which is an organization with the United Nations, and we did an art exhibition highlighting agriculture and farmers and fishermen in Africa for the Dakar Biennale. So I'm involved in passion projects, things that I have sense and where I want to just give time to. So for me, business, basketball, art, whatever, is just an expression of what we want to accomplish. So we all have goals and we all have passion, so let's all follow them.
That's a great sentiment there. And finally, to wrap this conversation up, in your LinkedIn profile, in the introduction, you mentioned that the question, what does time mean for you? So it's inevitable to ask, what does time mean to Ronnie Turiaf?
Wow, I'm very impressed by the fact that you've read my LinkedIn profile.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. Man, time means everything to me, and just thinking about time, it triggers me about what's important to me. And my dad asked me this question a couple of years back, and it was more a statement. He said, Ronnie, now that you retire, you're going to be responsible about trying to figure out how does your day look like. And he was right. And I think now is, who do I want to spend my time with, doing what? That's really what I think about every day. And right now I'm just so thankful to be able to be here, thanks to Yannis Foundation and the Onassis Foundation, because it shows me that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, which is to share my experiences with kids the same way that other people have shared their experiences with me when I was 14, 15 years old. Bye-bye.